The view from Robbin Island is simply fantastic. The city of Capetown, South Africa, shrouded by low-hanging clouds against the backdrop of Table Mountain, is postcard perfect. But for many political prisoners captured unfairly during the apartheid era in South Africa, this would be the view that would begin many years of physical and psychological abuse. It would change their lives forever. It looks a lot different today than it did in 1964. That was the year that Nelson Mandela, South Africa's most famous political prisoner, first set foot on Robbin Island. It would be his home for the next 18 years. Today, thousands of tourists come to the island to tour the maximum security prison and to view Mandela's cell. Those who run the island never want you to forget that it stands for those who fought and died for freedom from oppression. Over the years, these buildings have been home to a leper colony, a military base, a hospital, and a mental institution, and finally, a maximum security prison. Prison tours are conducted by former political inmates who share their stories and lend their unique perspectives.
When we came into South Africa, on the eastern side, meaning we used Mozambique, Swaziland to enter South Africa on our way to Secunda, which we never reached. In Emelo, we were ambushed by security police. They killed 3 of our men, captured 5 of us. 1 escaped, turned out to be the informer. How we knew? Well, he came and testified as a state witness against us in the trial. And we were kept at this police station in Johannesburg. Those days it was called John Foster Square. Today it's called Johannesburg Central Police Station. And well, one thing happened there, torture. Both physical and psychological, on-site and off-site. And it took 10 weeks. Information being extracted. For 2 main things is that they wanted to know more about our activities, plans, activities, and so forth. And on the other hand, they extracted information to build for future prosecution. That's the word I wanted. And that will then secure a conviction and a sentence. So after 10 weeks of all that, we were then charged with sabotage. State accused us of conspiracy to overthrow government by armed means, and we were to stand trial before a judge and 2 assessors at the Supreme Court in Johannesburg. And it took 6 weeks to complete the whole thing. The 4 weeks when it ended, all found guilty.
It isn't every day you get to speak to someone who lived through such turbulent times in a country so far away. The fact that this man was conducting tours at the very place where he was held prisoner speaks volumes about his spirit and perseverance. Barbed wire and prison walls can contain the body, but the spirit will always remain free.
All right, folks, Mandela is that way. I don't want it to be too big.
The mood was somber as we made our way onto the prison grounds and headed towards Mandela's cell, but not before we received a first-hand account of what life was really like in Robbin Island. For example, showing how the inmates slept on the floor and eventually upgraded to bunk beds like these. We then entered B Block and walked the long, narrow corridor to cell number 4, Nelson Mandela. It's hard to imagine calling this 6-foot by 7-foot cell home for 18 years. But Mandela and other political prisoners simply had no choice. As we filed past Mandela's cell, our guide continued to provide a running commentary of what life was like in this maximum security prison. He pointed out, among other things, that Mandela's first wife was a cousin of Walter Sisulu, his best friend and confidant, and occupied the cell next to Mandela. By sharing his experience with the world, we know that there will always be those who will resist the shackles of oppression and will pay any price for the blue sky and fresh air of that most precious commodity that we call freedom.
enjoy your trip back to the mainland, and of course enjoy your holidays in the country, and God bless all. Thank you very much.
As fate would have it, the way out was down a narrow passageway. We were suddenly reminded of the title of Nelson Mandela's book, A Long Walk to Freedom. We were there for a couple of hours, and it took just a few minutes to get out. It took Nelson Mandela 18 years to do the same thing.